Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be sharing my part 2 of the Tarot Show and Tell video series that I'm doing. So this is going to be the second part of me showing all of my tarot, like the rest of my tarot deck collection. And then I'm going to have another video next week that will be sharing my oracle decks. Now this is in no particular order. I just have them kind of laid out around me, so we're just going to dive in. I'm not going to open up each box and like show you all the cards and everything, because a lot of you have probably seen these decks. So I'm just going to like show you what I've got. And again, in no particular order. So let's begin. Okay, currently, and this is actually one I am working with at the moment, is the Goddess of Love Tarot. This deck I got, was it last year already? You guys, time flies so fast. I think I got it like towards the end of last year, and it kind of like, I was drawn to it, but then at the same time, like once I opened it up and really looked through the cards, I wasn't like feeling it. So it just kind of sat in my drawer for a while. And then Racine, OwlMoon513 here on YouTube, she is sharing like this week where there's a workshop on her YouTube channel. It's a free workshop and it's called Forget That Deck. And she has like journal prompts for you and card spreads and a meditative journey, with the deck of your choosing for one that you like don't feel connected to and you want to see if it's a deck that belongs in your collection or if it's one that you should just get rid of and pass on to someone else. So I've been working through that workshop, and let me tell you, it's really enlightening. I didn't think I would love this deck anymore. I did trim it. It was a massive deck, like a really big deck, and it had these like big red borders all around it. And I just trimmed it all the way down to the image, and then I left the title at the bottom. I love it this way. I also love it edged in this black. So yeah, that's just a little modding I did with it. But there's more than meets the eye with this deck. This deck goes deep, like deeper than just the Goddess of Love and like all that goes with that. Like that part is great. But this deck can go a lot deeper, and I've been learning that and connecting with it this week with that workshop. So I'm thankful for Racine for offering that to us here on YouTube, and it's been great. And the cool thing is it's going to be on YouTube. I'll leave a link for her channel down below, but it's going to be on YouTube in a playlist. And she said you can go through this workshop as many times as you want with any deck you don't feel connected to. And I actually plan on doing that because I do have a few that I don't really feel it, or I think it would actually be a great workshop to use with any deck because it just helps you connect with that deck more. Like, you know, so it's a great workshop. Anyways. There's the Goddess of Love Tarot. That is what I'm working on or working with this week. That's also what I like about it, is that you can like feel the energy of the deck and connect with the deck in just 1 week, just in a 1 week period. And so I think that's really cool. Like I might take a different deck next week and go through the same process and see how I connect with it. I just think it's really fun. Okay. Next deck. This deck was given to me in like a tarot deck swap, and it's just a Rider-Waite deck, but it's very, very shiny. It's like laminated, and I loved it because it has this symbol on the back. This symbol means a lot to me, and it's also Celtic, just gives that Celtic feel. And again, it's just a Rider-Waite deck, but it's on this like teal color, and it's glossy. I really like this deck. I really like just a good old Rider-Waite deck. So I really like using this one. Another Rider-Waite deck I have, I might as well just show like my Rider-Waite decks in a row here. But I also have the Centennial Smith-Waite deck in the tin, so it's a smaller version. I also really like this one. There's the back. It's just so small and tiny and cute, and I love the artwork. I love that it's muted, like the colors are muted. And the Centennial version, so like you don't have those like really bright yellows. See, it's kind of more of like a mustard color. So these aren't like pow in your face, like bright yellow, which I like. I like this more muted, toned down version of Rider-Waite, so I really like this one too. Another Rider-Waite deck I have, which was gifted to me. Did I get that? No, there we go. Which was gifted to me is the Golden Universal Tarot. This one's just another Rider-Waite Smith, but it has like the gold foil on some of the cards. I also have the Tarot of the Magical Forest. This one is a really cute one. This one kind of, like, I don't have the Nicoletta Chicole deck, but this one has kind of like the same vibe. Like, it's got that like inner child, like whimsical, like it just reminds me of like inner child work. And so that's this one. And I also trimmed this one and I edged it in green. This one had like really big, like kind of white borders around it, and I didn't like it. So I just trimmed it. Like, since this is a Rider-Waite style deck, you can tell what card it is by, you know, my brain, I can't think of the word I was trying to say, but you can tell what the card is by the image. There we go. And so I just trimmed off the borders because they did have the titles, but it's a Lo Scarabeo deck. So like on the white border, you had like multiple languages going on too. And it was just very distracting. So I trimmed it down and I love it with just the imagery. Like, this deck is so cute. Look at this death card. Or no, this is the devil. Excuse me. That's the devil card. It's so cute. Like, it's cute. It makes me like chuckle sometimes. Like these animals with these big eyes, like look at him. Like it's funny. And it kind of like, I don't know, if you're having like a tougher day or a stressful day or something, this one just kind of like breaks the ice on that. Like, it just makes you kind of just like go back into like an innocent childhood, whimsical fantasy. Like, it just kind of, it's just cute all the way around. So that's the Tarot of the Magical Forest. I also have in these little Lo Scarabeo decks, and a lot of these were gifted to me, which I'm very, very thankful for, because I really love exploring these little decks. This is the Universal Goddess Tarot. I had never heard of this one until I was gifted it, and it's really cool because each of these cards is a depiction of a certain goddess. And even though it's a Lo Scarabeo deck, sorry, I know I said I also wasn't gonna like show a lot of cards. I'm just, you know, whatever I feel like here. But anyways, even though it's a Lo Scarabeo deck and in multiple languages, you still get, okay, where's the, here, okay. You still get a little description of like which goddess is depicted on the card, and then just a little bit of information. And so what I like about this deck is that if I want to learn more about that particular goddess, it's like a research study deck for me, because I can look up that goddess and learn more about her or her myth, her legend. So I think that's really interesting. Okay, next up is such a cute deck. I love this little deck. It's the Halloween Tarot, and this is the perfect time to use it. I actually need to edge it. I also, again, modified this one. I really like trimming these little decks down because a lot of them have those white borders and I just don't like it. Also a great deck for reversals, if you do use reversals. I love this deck because it's like got this, I love the colors and everything, but you're like following around this cat. This little black cat is in every single card, and I actually have a little black cat. So it's just, it reminds me of my kitty cat and following her along on this little journey. And I love the vintage feel of this deck. It's like vintage Halloween, and it's just so cute. And I think this deck came out, I can't remember when this deck came out actually. Oh, here's an example. This is what the cards originally look like with the big white borders. And I took it right down to just the image, and I like it so much better at that size. This deck came out in like 1990 something. Sorry, it's gonna bug me now. 1996 was when it originally came out, and then this was like reprinted, or this is a 2012 copy. Or something like that. So yeah, 1996. That's just cool. But anyways, yeah, so there's the Halloween Tarot. And if I can get it back in the box. Okay, there we go. All right, moving right along, we've got the Dark Mansion Tarot. This deck is so pretty. I love this deck. I especially love the backs. This was also gifted to me, and I'm so thankful. I think this was an indie deck. The Dark Mansion Tarot regular edition. We've created this tarot deck for 2.5 years, putting our heart and commitment into it. Let's see, who's this made by? Taroteca Studio? Yes, production is Taroteca Studio, illustrated by Magdalena Caxon. Sorry, I'm totally probably butchering that. 2020. This is the 3rd edition. Anyways, it came with like this black edging on it. The cardstock's like really matte and cool, but this deck is like, it reminds me of Tim Burton, like Tim Burton's style of artwork. And it's so pretty. I just like it so much. It really has this cool little world. Like, it's another like whimsical type deck. You can really tell a story with this deck. So that one is really, really neat. I really love the cardstock on this deck too. And again, the backings are really, really pretty. So that's the Dark Mansion Tarot. And if I can, I will leave links down below for these decks, for whatever's still available and all that good stuff, if you want to check them out. Okay, shared that one. My next deck is Hush Tarot. I love this deck as well. This deck, I love the artwork because it's like pen and ink, or it's ink drawings, and it's done by a tattoo artist, if I'm not mistaken. It's done by Jeremy Hush, and he used like vegetable-based inks and stuff like that. I remember reading something about that in his guidebook. But this deck is really pretty. There's like the guidebook there. Again, I'm not going to show all the decks, but I love that one because it's very earthy, and it's just a very earth-based deck for me. Next deck, another Lo Scarabeo deck. Whoa, as it like flies out of my hand, is Tarot V by Alejandro Colucci. I really like these Lo Scarabeo decks. Like, okay, these are all Lo Scarabeo as well, and they're just in these cardboard boxes, which I showed in my last video. I have Tarot of the Haunted House. That's one of my all-time favorite decks. You know, it doesn't necessarily bother me with the box, but like at the same time, I do prefer these more. I just like that hard box that Lo Scarabeo is kind of doing now, and you get like a little bit more of information in the guidebooks. This deck, so I have a lot of vampire decks. I love vampires. And this one is totally like the gritty and dirty and like just really gross vampire vibes. Like my other ones aren't this. Okay, this is one card that I absolutely don't like in this deck. I don't like this one. I don't like that one. But some of these other cards, it's like the darker version. Like I feel like my other tarot vampires deck, or tarot, oh my gosh, vampire decks, my other vampire decks, I feel like they're kind of more like they can deal with the shadow side, and like Tarot Vampires by Ian Daniels, I've mentioned, is my favorite deck. And I can work with it with my like the shadow self workings and also light. Like I can do everything with that deck, but this one feels more of just like the dark side. Like the dark side of vampires, the dark nitty gritty stuff of the shadow self. So that's just kind of the vibe this one has. But I try to get it back in there. There we go. Okay, next one. Another Lo Scarabeo, Murder of Crows by Corduroy. I love this deck. I really love this deck. The guidebook's great. It's written by Charles Harrington. I love the backs. And I love the artwork. I love this like, it's like a cream with like these ink drawings on it. And I love crows. I hear crows all the time in the morning when I wake up and stuff. They're always squawking. We have a tree right by our place here, and they like hang out in it, and they just crow, 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 crow. And so every single morning it reminds me of this deck. So actually I probably need to just pull this deck out and work with it some more. But yeah, I love the artwork in it. It's a great one. Again, also, Low Scarabeo deck, and the cardstock on these, I actually really love them. They feel like they're laminated too, like they're glossy, but they're thicker, and I feel like way more durable than like the decks that come in these boxes of theirs. But yeah, I really like this one as well. Another Low Scarabeo deck, which is actually made just like the Llewellyn decks in one of these boxes, is the Heaven and Earth Tarot. I haven't worked with this one as much as I wanted to when I first got it. I think it's interesting. I love how it's like a mixture between the Rider-Waite-Smith system and the Thoth system. So it's definitely one I want to work with. I just haven't worked with it as much lately, but Heaven and Earth Tarot. This is an indie deck that was gifted to me recently, and it's the Figuratively Speaking Tarot. It's all upside down, sort of. It's like all these watercolor images, which are really pretty. So that is the Figuratively Speaking Tarot. The backs are really pretty too. I really like the backing. Okay. I have a couple of those, move into these. I have a couple of those, what's brand is this? Insight Edition decks. A lot of people have opinions about these decks. They make a lot of fandom decks, and I had to have the Buffy one. I love Buffy. I love that show. I've like rewatched it I don't know how many times. I love it. And so when I saw that they were coming out with the deck, I wanted to get it too. I edged it in like these different colors that kind of go along with the backing and the colors of the deck. So this one's like all purples and reds. But I love it because they really did incorporate a lot of characters that are in the series. So I thought they did a really good job on this one. Let's get that back in there. There's some decks of theirs that people have opinions on because they feel like they just kind of spit them out like really quickly and they didn't put a lot of thought into it. One of them is the Stranger Things deck. That one I was interested in until I saw that it was mostly Pippish style, and a lot of their decks are that way. But like this one and the other one I'm going to show you, I can move past that and see that it really is still a good deck, but I'm still iffy about the Stranger Things one. The other one I have is the Supernatural Join the Hunt. I haven't watched the series all the way through, but I'm like, shoot, no, I'm not even halfway. I'm like on season 5, I think now. But I saw this deck and I really liked it a lot. I like the color scheme of it, and the guidebook is great. Here's just the backings of it, and it's got like these cool like wintry looking vibes. Like it's got like this, they look icy almost, like this blue with red. I love the characters in it. This show's really good. I really like this show a lot. And again, it's a little Pippish, but at the same time, like all the majors are characters, and then also all of the court cards are characters. So you don't really notice it much. So I really like this one too. Okay. Next one, this is another deck I was gifted, and I haven't done much with it yet. It's the Psychic Tarot. This one's it's just very different. It's called the Psychic Tarot Oracle deck, so it's definitely different and probably one that I want to do that workshop with just to see how I connect with it. This is an indie deck. This is the Heartwood Tarot, and I'm super excited. I'm going to be working through this deck with a couple of friends. In a few days, actually, I'm going to be doing the Drop 'em 78 challenge by Mindful Tarot, and we're all using this deck, and this deck is so stunning. It's beautiful. This little mouse, it's like all this little mouse and all these like cute animals in this cottage in the woods that's just been abandoned, but all these animals have come there and like made it their home, and it's just this deck is such a sweet deck, and the artwork is absolutely stunning. So I'm really excited for that journey to begin, and get to know this deck a little bit better. So it's that one. Let's see, I shared those, that one. Okay. Ritual Tarot by Tara May. This is also an indie deck. A lot of you have probably seen this one on YouTube as well. It's really popular. I love this deck too. I love the collage work. Tara May does an excellent job. She has an Oracle deck out now. But yeah, I really love this deck too. But I also want to connect with it more. So again, that workshop by Racine is amazing, and I'm looking forward to going through it several times with all these different decks and just connect more to them. Here's another one that I love, Tarot of the Abyss. This one is like a bunch of black and white drawings, and it's also just really beautiful. I love the backs. Sorry, that's like really awkward. Hold on. There's the backs. I just love the ones that are like really detailed but are just pen and like just ink drawings. And this one doesn't really have a dark vibe to it. It's just, it's a different world. This one definitely makes you, like, I love her interpretations on some of the cards because they kind of drift a little bit away from like the Rider-Waite deck system. And she kind of puts in her own spin and her own take, and it's really, really interesting. I really like it a lot. Okay. Wait, did I put the book in here? Sorry, guys. No, it's in the bottom. Okay. There we go. Just want to make sure I didn't leave that out. Another deck that I haven't worked with much yet, but I do like the idea of it. It's Tarot of the Divine. The only thing that I don't like as much is the artwork, but I really love what like this deck has to offer because it gives you, the cardstock's also great. The cardstock in this is like it's like linen finish, but it's like a thicker cardstock. It feels really nice. I like the backing. I do appreciate the backing, but I don't know, the artwork for me is not my favorite. But I love how this is a deck about it's like fairy tales. Hold on, it's like excuse me, inspired by deities, folklore, and fairy tales from around the world. I really do like that. I think it makes it very fun and unique, and you can learn a lot with this deck too. The guidebook does give you a little bit of information on the deities, a little bit of information on the folklore or the fairy tale, and it tells you like where that fairy tale came from. Like it's not just based on one country's fairy tales and stuff. So like you've got ones from Vietnam, China, Sweden, South Africa, Japan, Iraq. Like that's just really cool. I also did see that they have other options like for you to expand this deck. Like there's a Tarot of the Divine journal, and there's also like an expanded, not necessarily a guidebook, but well, I think the journal is kind of like the expanded guidebook too. It has more information in it. And then they also have a storybook that like tells you the story of each. Like this guidebook in here gives you a little bit of information, but the other book gives you like the whole story, which is cool too. Okay, next up, Wild Unknown Tarot. This one is a beautiful deck too. I always loved her artwork, and I have a couple of her other decks, which you'll see in my Oracle video. I love her style. I love that hers is mostly ink drawings, but then thrown it like watercolor in there, like is splattered and adds punches of color in there, which is really pretty too. Okay, here's another one. Next up is the Dreaming Way Tarot. I have trimmed this one as well, so it's a lot smaller. And this one's an interesting deck. I have mixed feelings about it. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. And again, it's the artwork. The artwork for me, like some of their outfits, like I just, like what's going on? But there's still something about this deck. Like, okay, I don't like this outfit either, but it's still, I like this tarot card. There's something about it. So I need to work more with this one too. So that is the Dreaming Way Tarot. Next up, I have the Enchanted Forhaxa Tarot. This deck's beautiful. This is not the indie edition. She did have an indie edition of it, but this is the mass market production by Hay House, and I love it too. It's really pretty. I love that this one has like it's a fairy deck, but it has mermaids, and it's like all in this, again, well, it's the Enchanted Forhaxa Tarot, but you're like in this enchanted wood. Here's the backs, and you're coming across like these fairies and mermaids, and there's like a dragon in here, and there's just all sorts of fun mythical creatures in this deck. Like here's a dragon and like little fairies, and it's a really pretty deck. I also appreciate the fact that all the suits are the elements. So like 7 of air, and there's water, fire, earth. I like that too. Okay, we're getting to the end, guys, I promise. Next up is The Good Tarot by Colette Baron-Reid. Not necessarily a favorite, but I do like some of the images in this deck. I'm usually not a Colette Baron-Reid fan, although I do have her House of Night deck, which is an oracle deck. You'll see that in that video. I also did a video previously on that deck because it was my first ever deck I bought. And the reason why I got that deck of hers was that the House of Night is a favorite book series that I love to read. But that is The Good Tarot. Okay, last 3, and they're all by the same company, which I love these decks too. So these are by the publishing company Sterling Ethos, but I love these decks. This is the Modern Witch deck, which is also a very popular, like, Rider-Waite based deck. I do love it a lot. I love their little guidebooks too. These little guidebooks that come in these sets are so sweet. They give you a good amount of information and stuff too. This deck is also very vibrant, and it's really pretty. And then the Cosmic Slumber. This deck is I also like how these open up. I really like that. I like this deck because it gives me different vibes. I don't know, I really like the backing of it, and this right here gives me like a Native American Indian type vibe, which I love. I absolutely love that. But then like the artwork it definitely has a different feel to it. Like, I mean, I love the artwork in this deck. I actually really do. But the Cosmic Slumber is like all about, I don't know, it's like otherworldly. It definitely has a different vibe to it. Actually, let me see what exactly. Oh yeah, if the universe were to sleep, where would her dreams lead? So it definitely has, it's a cool take on tarot. I like it. So, oops, so there's that one. All right, last one is, I will put that in the, hold on. That was very loud. Okay. Last one, which is another one I love, is the Waite Numen. I really like this deck too. Now this one gives me the feeling and the vibe of like going into a cave, and here's the backing, and I feel like it's ancient. It's kind of like an ancient vibe, ancient feeling of like going into a cave and seeing like drawings on the walls that people did like thousands of years ago. Because the backing of this deck, which is probably gonna be really hard to see, but like the borders and like the main color in the background here, it has a texture and it reminds me of like rock for some reason. So to me, it just looks like sketches on a cave wall for some reason. I don't know. I just think it's a really cool vibe though. And I really, really love this deck. So that is the Waite Numen. And let me see, I'm gonna see, where'd that box go? There it is. So it's the Sacred Animal Tarot, lighting your path to the spiritual realm inspired by ancient rituals and stories of sacred spirits, sacred animal spirits. Waite Numen Tarot forms a path to human reconnection with the natural world and spiritual realm. So yeah, that's why. I love, and I totally get that vibe from this deck. They inspired by ancient rituals and stories of sacred animal spirits. You definitely get that vibe from this deck. So it's a really fun one. All right, guys. Whew, that was a lot to get through, but I'm glad we did it. So that's all my tarot decks. Well, okay, I take that back. I have 2 other tarot decks, but I'm not going to share them because one of them is very, very special. It's one that my friend and I actually made together. So we don't share that one on YouTube or anywhere. And then the other one is one that I actually got her a copy of too that I'm sending her, and I don't want to like spoil the surprise. So I have 2 other decks, but I'm not going to share them here. Okay, so other than that though, that is my collection of tarot decks. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for the Oracle deck video coming out next week. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Bye.